And it's here, folks. The NFL draft kicking off. Well, the Raiders are on the clock. Just seconds ago, I'm Glenn Naughton, Jet Nation Radio, jetnation.com. Be sure to log into jetnation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web. You might want to log in now if you can. As I mentioned earlier, we have in years past had to close down registration or logins because it gets pretty busy on draft night. And the Jets, folks, we're 15 minutes away maybe from finding out who the Jets' top pick is. There's been all the talk about Reese. There's been all the talk about Bailey. And as I said earlier, I think it would be hilarious if they picked somebody else. Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic, echoing that sentiment a few minutes ago. I saw a tweet he shot out saying the same thing, saying it would be kind of hilarious at this point if the Jets went, you know what, Jeremiah Love or Carnell Tate or Caleb Downs, something like that. But I guess I've been told the league tells teams at the top of the draft intentionally to take all of their time, even when they know who they're taking. Such a weird thing to me. Everyone knows. It's weird that, I mean, I guess it's an exciting moment, but they just showed Mendoza sitting with his family, looking nervous. Like, I think we know what's going to happen. Going to go out on a limb here. But how we feeling? How we feeling, folks? What are we thinking? And who do you want? Not who do you think the Jets are going to take? Close that down. Got it on a couple different screens because, as you know, people like to spoil. And some feeds run faster than others, but it looks like we're about on equal timing here on both of these. Let's see here. So David Bailey, if he is the pick, the concern there that we've talked about, yes, he is an elite pass rusher, but of course, a little bit, I think, and then maybe that's being generous, does struggle against the run. Can he be coached up in that area? I suppose. But he's not that, he's not a bigger end the way you might want for a team that's going to be running more 3-4. But as we talked about, you can't get too caught up in the size thing because of the fact that your base isn't, you don't spend a lot of time in your base, whether it's 3-4 or 4-3, more times than not in today's game. So many high flying offenses, a million receivers. It's a lot of nickel, dime, and 4-man fronts. The phone will be going off because, of course, some friends will be shooting messages through, excited about this, unhappy about that. But I mentioned it earlier. It was the topic of the show I did earlier today, not just the draft, the players themselves, but the talk about the possibility of a trade down from 16. And it just came up again. And look, Bart Scott earlier said he'd love to see a trade up to get a receiver. I honestly don't know how I feel about that because, as I've said, I feel like you can hold off on a receiver if you can get the guys I mentioned earlier, Chris Brazzell, Jeremy Bernard, get one of those guys in round 2. I don't see the other receivers, again, of course, Tyson's in a league of his own. But a lot of these other guys, you tell me Casey Concepcion, who I think with Casey Concepcion, if I'm being honest, I think I probably got a little bit of prospect fatigue with him, which it does happen when you like a player and you want. I've said it a few times. Big fan of his from his first year in college, first game in college, and watched him a lot. And went into this year, said he's one of my guys, love him. The versatility, you can ask him to do a lot of different things. But I didn't talk about him a lot in recent months because I'm like, okay, I think I've beaten Casey Concepcion talk to death. And probably hadn't as much as I thought I had, just because he's sort of in here a lot. And he's one of the first names that came to mind when I'm thinking, who do I want the Jets to go after a wide receiver in this year's draft? And probably did a lot more thinking to myself, yeah, Casey Concepcion would be a really good pick. The drops, he had a few drops this year. Is that a concern? Yes. Is it the end of the world? No. guys can be, you get enough reps, guys can improve in that area. We've seen it, but it is a risk because there's no guarantee he'll improve. But just his ability to make plays with the ball in his hands. As I said, go back and watch him as a freshman in college. You see him running the ball out of the backfield, gadget plays, end arounds, things like that. He can do a lot of different things well. So here come the Raiders. I think we feel pretty confident here. Roger Goodell, it doesn't matter, and I think I say this every year. It doesn't matter who Roger Goodell brings out on stage with him. He gets booed. Doesn't matter. He could. I mean, he just brought out, uh, and there you have it, Mendoza. Nice moment with the family, of course. The mother being ill and all that. Uh, Kid worked through a lot. Kind of like, and I'm looking at the family. Some strong genes there. Every one of them look like Mendoza at different ages. There's like 3 little kids there who look like Mendoza at 8, 10, and 11. Strong genes, but, you're happy for the kid. Liked him at Cal, thought he had, the talent. I thought he could be a round 1 guy. I'm not gonna lie to you and say I thought he was gonna be QB1 or that he was a lock to be QB1. But, the talent was apparent. The ball placement obviously is off the charts. The leadership might be better than anything he's got. And he's just a dude who, even when the box score doesn't look great, he he makes the big plays in the big spots. And that's being a money player. That's what the kid is. He proved it. Just won a national championship. So big move for the Raiders, and really, but you have to applaud the Raiders for the way they're handling this. They go out and get Cousins, perfect mentor. Even before that signing, for a lot of people, Cousins was the Mendoza comp. So now you get Cousins to mentor him. Likely going to have Tom Brady in his ear. And that, to me, for the Raiders, is what's going to be the most interesting aspect of this. Is if they are off to a bad start, do you say, all right, let's just put them out there? Because we've heard Tom Brady talk about how quarterbacks don't get the time to learn anymore. They get drafted and they get thrown into the fire and they fail, and then teams start over. Brady Brady had some time to sit and learn behind Drew Bledsoe, and he probably feels like that helped him. And now he's going to be helping Mendoza. Cousins is going to be in the QB room with him. If they give this kid time and don't rush him like so many teams have done with so many quarterbacks, this could end up being, he could be a franchise guy. Obviously, he's the first pick for a reason, but I think we've seen enough teams fail quarterbacks, and I think it's almost at the point where it's a negative. Sorry, 1 second here. Just gonna don't have Twitter open on any devices, and I don't want picks spoiled, but I also feel like yep, Jets are on the phone. Jets are on the phone with somebody. They've called their pick. Muji's all smiles, just handed the phone off to Aaron Glenn. And yeah, we'll see here. Yeah, I am still, and it's not even that I'm in the camp of the non-visit from Bailey wasn't important. And I tweeted this earlier because, Brian Costello says he talked to an executive who says if they didn't have him in for a 30, they're not going to draft him. And I said this earlier, and we know it's not a question. We know every single year teams will draft guys who they have no contact with. Well, maybe not every single year, but you hear about it pretty frequently. Guys, they get drafted and they'll do an interview days, weeks, months later, and they'll say, I was totally shocked. I had no idea. Nobody from that organization contacted me. We had no phone calls. We had no meetings. They didn't say anything to me at the Senior Bowl. So if players can get drafted with zero contact, how does an NFL executive, and again, this is per Brian Costello, how does an NFL executive come out and say, you can't draft a guy who you didn't have in for a 30? They met him at his pro day. They spoke to him at the Senior Bowl. They had, and as Muji pointed out, we had several points of contact that we were happy with. It really is mind-boggling. It's like I'm not going to say Brian Costello is making up what he said, but I'm questioning the person he spoke to. Does he think fans are just dumb? I don't get it. An NFL executive who thinks you can't draft a guy that you didn't have in for a 30. I wonder sometimes, folks. I really, and again, I'm not saying Bailey's the pick. Everyone else is. Did they say? Yep. So the pick is in. There will be no trade down. Didn't expect a trade down. I know we were hoping for it. You guys might have it by now. I'm probably like 15, 20, 30 seconds behind. What I've got is Goodell here coming up to the podium. There you have it. David Bailey. The Jets go with the edge rusher. And, you know, we've talked about the need for Aaron Glenn's team to get better in a hurry. And it was probably a couple months ago at this point now, when these two names sort of emerged as the most likely guys, Reese and Bailey. And I was doing, believe it was a mailbag show on Play Like a Jet with Scott Mason. And I said it a couple times on this show that I didn't think they would take Reese because I thought there's a longer runway to him hitting his peak. Whereas with Bailey, you're getting a guy you're anticipating a day one impact player. And guess what Aaron Glenn needs? Day one impact players. The Jets are in no position to be taking a guy. Well, I shouldn't say no position because I still thought there was a chance they would take Reese. I thought they would take Reese. And I was wrong, obviously. But as I said, either way, they're getting a good player. But they clearly chose to get the guy who could help today. Like week one, turn him loose and let him have an impact. Whereas with Arvell Reese, going to take a little bit longer. Where do you start him out? Do you just throw him right in at edge where he's super raw and will probably have no impact? Or do you play him in, off-ball linebacker where he'll have a big impact and work him in at edge a little bit where you might be 2 or 3 years away from an impact? If you don't win this year, there might not be 2 or 3 years. As I've said, the Vegas odds have the Jets at 5 wins, 5.5 wins the over-under 5.5 wins. I don't see them. If you don't hit that number, if you're Aaron Glenn, you win 3-4 games, you're out. So you got to find somebody who can have an impact right away. And they clearly feel like this is the guy who can. Pull up some David Bailey highlights for it. This is what I love about David Bailey. This is my favorite thing. I know Will McDonald. I know they've got him. But look at the spin move. Pair that, the point I've made many times over is that David Bailey and Will McDonald on the same front on 3rd and long. Look at that. Coming in from the left side of the offensive formation up here. David Bailey rushes the tackle. Look at that tackle is just lost. And that, if you think back, that was a comment that Daniel Jeremiah made a little while back, maybe 6 weeks ago, saying that he had just finished watching all the projected first round tackles. And one thing that they all had in common is that David Bailey ate their lunch. All the top tackles got beaten up by Bailey. So if you want a guy who can get to the quarterback, which the Jets obviously need, this is a huge need for them, especially with Jermaine Johnson being gone. You've really only got Will McDonald as a guy who you can look at to get to the quarterback. But as we said, and look now do you look at moving Will McDonald? GM Island Empire, how we doing, man? Any trades since Bailey is chosen? Well, if you're talking about Jets trades, as I've said, I think you visit the possibility of Will McDonald, but maybe you could just say, if you are the New York Jets, we're happy letting one of these two guys be a part-time player, like literally just situational pass rusher, a first round pick who generally you would expect your first round picks to be starters, especially top 5, top 10. You would expect these guys to be day one starters, day one contributors. But maybe the Jets are happy to say, all right, we now have two guys who can do a hell of a job getting to the quarterback if we ever have a lead or if they ever have a third and long. And we're okay with them playing 25, 30, 35% of the snaps. That's possible. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And I guess if you did it with Will McDonald, it's a bit more palatable because he's not your pick. You can look at Woody Johnson and say, look, your last guy took this guy who's not an every down player. So he's going to be, he can do some things well, and we'll have him do those things. But we're not going to have him be an every down guy. And I don't know that either one of these players. I don't think McDonald or Bailey will be every down players. At least this year. Bailey, he's still young. Obviously, he's going to have a hell of a defensive line coach in Carl Dunbar. So maybe Dunbar brings him along and gets him to where he can play at a higher level against the run. And we'll see. But now, look, pick is in already for Arizona. Fairly quick. And I think when they have, I think it's 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 8 minutes between picks. Arizona's pick is in. What do we think here? What do we think? Love. I just feel like their running back room could really use a boost, and Jeremiah Love is an ideal option for that. I mean, obviously the best option in the draft, obviously. Big news with George Pickens as well. For those of you who may have missed it, he signed his franchise or plans to sign his franchise with the Dallas Cowboys. And of course, immediately, and rightfully so, it only makes sense. The thought process is he agreeing to sign it so that he could be traded? So Dallas could move him. And everyone's saying Dallas is going to make big moves. They said that last year. They didn't do anything. So, and I said earlier, Jerry's not getting any younger, and that's a tough division. So what do you do there? We will see. But here's the Cards pick. There you go. Jeremiah Love. And listen, back when I said the Jets should take him at 2 and everyone said, oh, that's stupid, that's crazy. I thought, you know what? He could go 3 or 4. He could go 3. And there he goes. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Positional value. You need a running back. The best player in the draft is a running back. And look, there was talk that Arizona wanted to move down, and maybe they did. Maybe they were waiting for somebody to call. They didn't get the call. So they say, all right, who's the best player on the board that fills a need for us? And I think that's the right move. I think that's a good call for them. Hell of a player. Would have liked to see the Jets take him, but they didn't. And now Jeremiah Love, who, I mean, listen, we all know what this guy can do. He's absolutely phenomenal player. See what we have here on him. So explosive. This is he had a couple runs. This one, I think I've shared this one a few times. But look, 98-yard touchdown run. And I think this was early. Yeah, this was first quarter. Scoreless football game, Notre Dame versus the national champs. And all Jeremiah Love does is take the football 98 yards for 6. Hell of a player. Hell of a player. Arizona does, again, addressing a need. And I've said it a few times. I've said it many times. This is just a weird year for the draft. You got one quarterback, and then you got a bunch of guys who don't play premium positions, but they're the best players in the draft. So you're going to see Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, off-ball linebackers going early on, a running back going early on. These guys all probably top 10 picks. The Arvell Reese one is interesting because someone said it earlier in the chat when I was talking about what the Jets might do. And I kind of felt like or I'd said that the other day just for the hell of it. It's something I never do, but it's literally you get to the point where it's that boring, where you've done so many mock drafts where you're making the Jets picks just for the hell of it. And I don't even think I finished the round, but I was like, oh, let's do a 32, and I made picks for every team, and I can't remember where I slotted Arvell Reese, where I ended up having him taken. But as I was making the picks, I was like, there's a world where he falls. He could go 2, but he could also go 8, 9, 10. Now, look, there's talk that teams want to trade up, which okay, yeah, sorry. This is I believe this is his high school reacting because that doesn't certainly look like Notre Dame. Yeah, Jeremiah loves high school. So, I understand that, some teams want to trade down because the fact that it's not that there aren't premium position players available in these spots, but that's what this year's draft has brought us. And so there will be some weirdness. Arvell Reese again. Where does he go? I think Daniel Jeremiah. Yeah, Daniel Jeremiah had the Saints trading up to 3 to get him. And there was talk that the league was waiting to see what the Jets would do because there were several teams that wanted to jump up to 3 to take Arvell Reese if the Jets didn't. And the Jets didn't. They didn't take Reese, but nobody traded up to 3 to get him. I'm gonna be paying a little closer attention than usual this year to how right the experts get it. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, they were so all over the place this year. I found myself asking, why am I listening to these people? Like, from the time the draft talk starts to the time the draft talk ends, they've got everybody mocked everywhere. Insiders. I've got all the answers, but it's going to be this guy, this guy, this guy. And you start thinking, man, what's their batting average? I'd love to go. I mean, I don't have the patience to go back and watch every hour of all of these guys, but you do watch and wonder, how often do these guys miss? Because it feels like it's a lot. Jets, though, look, the Jets ran a tight ship. Even up until today, you had people. All right, the Titans pick is in. You gotta believe, and this is one of the spots where I thought Reese, but Ruben Bain feels like he could go here. Bain's a guy I feel like if he doesn't go here, he could fall outside the top 10. I think it's Reese or Bain here, but I don't know, man. When I watch Bain coming off the edge and what Robert Saleh looks for, I'm going to say it's Bain. Robert Saleh wants that rotation of guys. They might take a couple of edge guys. Remember with the Jets, it was wave after wave. You had JFM, you had Huff, you had JJ. You had 4 or 5 guys who could get after the quarterback. So if Tennessee takes one here in Bain, I wouldn't be shocked if they take another one at some point in the draft. But again, you guys may be ahead of me. And I am. We got Goodell at the podium now. Wow. Wow. Yeah, okay. Carnell Tate getting Cam Ward some help. My goodness. That's a big move. And I'm not the only one. I don't know if you guys heard it, but as soon as I said wow, wows were flying out of the TV here. That is I love it, man. I love the draft. It's so much fun. I don't think anybody had this. I'm sure somebody did it. Everybody's got something, but that is man, that's a hell of a player. And wow. Yeah. Carnell, I mean, listen, this guy. I think, I've said before, I think Tyson's wide receiver 1, but you look at what this guy's able to do, tracking the deep ball. Outstanding player. Definitely wide receiver 2 for sure. I mean, look at the separation he gets here. Look how wide open he is. This is against Michigan. And just nobody within 5, 6, 7 yards of him as that ball comes in, which is just nuts. And he did this a lot, folks. It's not like far from a one-off. Tennessee gets themselves a huge weapon. Kudos to the Titans getting some help for your young quarterback. So any thoughts of him slipping a little bit or the Jets trading up? You know, that's been some of the talk. The Jets should trade up for a quarterback. Or sorry, Jets should trade up for a receiver. And it's going to be interesting to see if there's a run on receivers, because there was talk that Jordan Tyson, they went from, oh, he can go to the Jets at 16. Then he gets cleared medically. Then he has his workout, and everyone's like top 10 guy. So then if Tyson goes as the next receiver, the Giants, a lot of people thought maybe Tate to the Giants. The Giants are going to get Caleb Downs, aren't they? What are you going to do? You can't have everybody you like in the draft. But obviously, I'm a big Caleb Downs guy, and I think the Giants, or Sonny Styles. Let's not forget Sonny Styles as a possibility here. I'm going to say it's like they say, right? Harbaugh. This is him putting his stamp on the team, is the first pick with him as the head coach. You would think he's going to want an alpha, a leader. I could see them going either direction. I feel like Downs is the safer pick. Both leaders, I mean, like I said, they could get one at 5 and one at 10. They could end up with both of these guys. I know that Peter Schrager, I believe it was Schrager, who mocked Downs at like 12. And he said the feedback he got on that was no way he gets out of the top 10. You can forget that. Get that idea out of your head right now. So we shall see. Yeah, so there's the Giants War Room. Oh, sorry, pop back on. Giants War Room. Giants are on the clock. Chiefs, Commanders, and Saints to follow. Chiefs are interesting too. Do the Chiefs go tackle? After watching Patrick Mahomes get beat up, get injured, miss time. I'm gonna hop onto the Jet Nation message boards where you folks should be. Get logged in here. I'm just curious to see how Jets fans are reacting. I mean, there's no better place to get a pulse and get a finger on the pulse of Jets fans than taking a look at the forums at Jet Nation. And I know the Reese Bailey conversation was happening there too. Obviously, people were torn. And let's see. There we go. Let's jump in live with see what some of the comments that Jets fans are sharing. Love it. He's a stud. Concerned about the fact that the scouting report says pass rusher, doesn't play the run, but hopefully he shows out. Oh, this isn't nice. Vernon Golston had a son. Yeah. Vernon Golston was a just all he could do was bull rush. Bailey has a variety of moves and ways to beat you. Wanted Sonny Styles, but that's okay. Vastly better than drafting Reese. Same old Jets. Suck. See. No matter who you pick, some people are going to be upset about it. Let's see. Gino Jet says he's going to make a big impact on defense. Just thought Reese had a higher ceiling. Hard to get worked up over this pick. Disgusted, says Nova Jet. Love goes 3. How are they going to stop the run? Kid's so explosive, but they need to find a way to play with a lead. Until then, Bailey and McDonald will go to waste, and that is the problem. Which that's pretty much what I'd said once they made the pick. The hope has to be that Will McDonald can get better against the run, but additions at DT and the edge can help this. Bailey is the guy who can help the team most this year. Yes, he is. Just a high floor. With Jets history, you can't blame them. True, I get that point. Can't play the run. This can't play the run angle is stupid. He gets to the QB, so who cares? We had all-world Quinnen Williams and had a bad run defense. I mean, we need you need more than one guy to stop the run, but so as expected, Jets fans are torn. Some like it, some don't. And we shall see how it works out in time. And here are the Giants. Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles? What are we thinking? Who do we see them going with here? GM Island Empire says toxic Jets fans always downing their picks. Dunbar is going to improve Bailey, McDonald, and the free agents. Well, that's the hope. That's the hope. If McDonald doesn't put on some weight, there's only so much you're going to be able to do with him. And I think you can count on Carl Dunbar to make any defensive lineman better. But can you get them to the point where they're better than just functional? I mean, I guess if you're functional against the run and dominant as a pass rusher, you can live with that. But the concern at this point is that they're not. They're not functional against the run, and will they get there? Island Empire says I was good with Bailey, Reese, or Bain. Yeah, Bain. Like I said, Bain. I think he'll be good, but I didn't think the Jets could afford to gamble. And we got a family of Giants fans announcing the pick here. I'm saying Caleb Downs. That's a little bit of bias on my part. Oh, and the Giants grab Arvell Reese. Oh, the draft drama. The Jets fans some Jets fans were desperate for Arvell Reese, and now just great drama. Great drama. Reese and Bailey will now be playing in the same building, fighting for the same headlines. So if one is notably better than the other, that's going to be that is not going to go over very well for whichever GM got it wrong. Well, again, you couldn't knock the Giants for not taking Bailey. Obviously, didn't have the opportunity to, but the Giants take the guy that so many thought would go to the Jets. Like I said, little draft drama. You got to love it. See what we got here on Reese. I mean, look, he's multiple. He gives you the ability to do a lot of different things. And this is, you would imagine that's what that was why I thought Aaron Glenn would want him. And that again, that's the other question, right? There were a lot of Jets fans saying, "Oh my God, Woody Johnson, what are you doing? Harbaugh's out there as a free agent. Move on from Aaron Glenn. Go get this guy." And I'll tell you what, if you're a fan that wanted Harbaugh, or at least wanted the Jets to make a run at Harbaugh, and then wanted them to draft Reese, this is not a good day for you, because the coach you wanted just drafted the player you wanted. But that's the way it goes. Nothing you can do about that. Let's see. Arvell Reese gets initial hit on TFL. Let's take a look here. Again, against Michigan. Makes the reads. That's one thing that, the people have talked about with Reese. Does a nice job spying the quarterback. Does that again here. Or sorry. They hand it off, but he shuffles, stays with the back, gets into the backfield, doesn't get the tackle, but makes the initial hit on the stop. And this is the book on him, is that right now he's already He's already an elite defender, and already an elite run defender. And that was why you kind of felt like even if you take the guy and you don't feel like he's going to be a great edge rusher right away, he's going to be able to do enough against the run and in coverage to improve your defense. So he's still going to make you better. But how much better? That's funny because there were a lot of folks, a lot of Jets fans who wanted Sonny Styles over Arvell Reese. And here you see Harbaugh choosing Arvell Reese over Styles. Big get for the Giants there. Let's see. GM Island Empire again says a lot of players didn't agree with Harbaugh's methods. He might burn out faster than you think. He might. He's a little bit more old school than some of the other coaches, some of these younger coaches in the league. I think who was it the other day? I can't remember. It was a Ravens player who already said that who commented that no, was it a Browns player? Somewhere where there was a new coach, I forget, said that it had to be Baltimore. They said camp's going to be a lot easier on your body. I'm feeling like it was Zay Flowers, but I could be wrong. It's one of those things that was kind of on in the background. I was half paying attention, but thinking to myself, all right, I guess Harbaugh runs a tighter ship than some guys like, demands a little bit more physically than some guys like. Too much hitting, too much with the pads. Guys like time off. Some guys like taking it easy. Some guys like getting pushed. Oh, we got a trade. Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, no, hang on a second. Yeah. The Chiefs jump up from 9 to 6. Now, Kansas City, they've got a few needs. I thought tackle, but jumping up like this, like there are going to be other good. They could have gotten a tackle at 9. Obviously, they made some moves at corner, and they have that need there. Mansour Delaney. Okay, GM Island Empire did it. I don't know if I said it before you typed it, but thanks for confirming or updating that it was Zay Flowers. I thought it was. But here we go, Chiefs. I'm thinking maybe corner because they could have waited and got a tackle at 9. Delaney, Hood. There you go. The Chiefs go get their guy, Mansour Delaney. They needed some help at corner, obviously, and now they get a what they hope will be an elite corner on a cheap rookie deal. Excellent move for them. And I think I looked up late. I think the Browns got a 3 and a 5 in that deal. I didn't see the exact details. About 165 yards in coverage last year. That's a pretty damn good number. Damn it. Hit the wrong button again. Let's see. See if we got anything on Delaney. I was sure I had more than that. I believe this is where he's coming off on a corner blitz. Yeah. And gets himself a PBU or a batted pass at the line. Bring that back to the beginning. Times it well, though, and elevates. He really gets up on that. I don't know if it hiccuped. Let's see. Top of your screen, at the snap, timed well, time to jump, bats the pass up in the air. Fantastic play. Just a really good player. I'm for a lot of folks. I think most. He was the number 1 corner in this class, and now we see him get drafted accordingly. And this is something that we know the Jets are going to need one. I talked earlier asking what position are the Jets going to have to. And as I said, with the top 44, picking in that top 44. Yeah, GM says he thinks they could have got him at 9. I think so. I mean, obviously they thought somebody was going to take him. They must have felt like they had to get him there or lose him to somebody else. But still a surprising, or not surprising. I think if they had gone tackle, I would have been more surprised if they traded up. And we're gonna go to the PFN simulator because I think they updated. I think if you jump in there to do a mock, they let's see, select all teams. No, it looks like they have. They've updated it. Oh, and they're actually way ahead. I don't know who else is on a feed that I'm on, but I just saw Washington's pick because PFN had it in there. I'm watching on DAZN. I thought they were called DAZN when I subscribed. But DAZN does the NFL coverage in Europe and the UK. And they right now, what I'm getting is Mansour Delaney being interviewed and the Washington pick being flashed up as the pick being in. For anyone who's watching on DAZN in this part of the world, I will keep my mouth shut until the pick is announced by Roger Goodell. That's a good job by the Browns, though. Then the Browns. I think the Browns go tackle, but you can drop a few more spots, I think, and still get one. I think there'll be tackles there in the sort of early teens. But this is moving right along, so hopefully not too long until the Jets are on the board or on the clock once again. But we will be here for the whole first round because we don't know that the Jets won't trade back up into round one. The bus and Lynn Swan flanking Roger Goodell on stage. A lot of talking, a lot of words here from Goodell. So it looks as if. Oh. There you go. Sonny Styles, Ohio State linebacker. Absolute stud. Not a lot of guys are able to get off blocks as well as he does. You see him do it here. Get the run stop a couple yards down the field. Obviously, the athleticism is absolutely off the charts. Leadership, we talked about, thinking that he could go 10, but he goes 7. Sonny Styles, obviously, the combine was like an all-timer type of performance. It was ridiculous. And now that puts the Saints on the clock. Turn this down a little bit. Right. Excellent. And no spoilers on PFN. They don't have the next pick up yet, which will be the Saints. And then, of course, the Browns hopping up after that, following their trade. And Styles, look, this is a guy has everything you want, has winning pedigree, obviously. Players, and we've talked about how Aaron Glenn prefers this. He wants guys out of programs with a lot of success to try to bring in guys who just expect to win. And that's what you're getting when you get players out of Ohio State, out of Georgia, out of Alabama, and even Texas Tech this year. First team All Big Ten, no surprise there. And let's see. You know what I'm going to do? I don't think he'll mind. I am going to just share anything noteworthy from the Emery Hunt draft guide on what he's feeling about these with some of these players or his thoughts on these guys. Not all of them, just throwing a couple notes. And yeah, do the Jets trade up? Do the Jets feel like we want to get a receiver? And if we want to get one, you've now got some teams coming up who you could be competing with for a receiver. And it's funny because now that I think back, I remember really early in the process with the Giants. I remember very early thinking, man, Carnell Tate, would be a nice compliment in, in New York with the Giants. Gives your quarterback another legit weapon. But now at 10, do you take some offensive line help there? Because that's something that I think a lot of people realize that you want to, anytime you have a young quarterback, you want to give him time, keep him upright, keep him safe. And I can see the Giants. Imagine if they went with Awane. That'd be a home run first round for them. Let's see. And this was another spot. This was a spot where there was a lot of talk, and I think I saw a few prominent, insiders, commentators, whatever you want to call them, had teams trading up to 7 with Washington. Obviously, that doesn't happen. So Styles goes there. And, look, I'm sure a lot of these teams try to work trades, right? Do your due diligence, make your phone calls. But if you don't get a deal, if you don't get an offer you like, you don't go out there and let yourself get ripped off. And I've seen, you see it in the past with Jets fans. Why didn't we trade down? Why didn't we trade down? We know there was an offer on the table. It's been reported. All right, well, if the offer was garbage, I'm not gonna go getting upset that your GM didn't take a garbage offer. So New Orleans on the clock now. And the Saints, that's a spot where some people thought maybe Tate would go. But I'm gonna say, let's see. What could they use? Again, another team with a young quarterback. They have a very good receiver in Olave. I thought they could be a candidate to move up to grab Love. Oh, they added somebody though, didn't they? They added someone in free agency. I can't remember who. But they wouldn't. I don't think that's as glaring a need. But maybe Tyson goes here. Jordan Tyson or Lemon here to give your young quarterback another weapon. Ruben Bain, would he be a possibility? I'm not so sure about that. Tell you what, though, every slot Caleb Downs drops, I'm a happy guy. I mean, he didn't go to Washington. Could he go to the Browns? Again, I feel like the Giants, I feel like they're a big threat to take him. Just don't let him land with the Dolphins. I don't want to have to face that guy twice a year. Well, I won't be facing anybody, but you know what I mean. Currently on the board, or the top tackle currently on the board, because again, there is an expectation that the Browns will look to grab one. Francis Mauigoa is still on the board. Spencer Fano is still on the board. So, what was it? All the talk yesterday is that between 10 and 14 is where we will see a run on offensive linemen. But we'll see. I feel like the Cowboys might take a D line, whoever their top graded edge rusher, because I think they're realizing that letting Micah walk wasn't the Micah Parsons letting him walk wasn't the best idea. But the Giants grabbing, man, Arvell Reese. That's it's like I said, love the drama. Love the fact that, Arvell Reese will be playing in that building. See if we got anything interesting on here. From Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic. Arvo Reese has a higher ceiling, but the Jets prioritized adding a player in David Bailey who has the ability to get 10 sacks the minute he puts on a Jets uniform. Again, get the guy who can impact now because you stink and you don't want to get fired and you need players who will help you win right away. And you got a 15-year playoff drought. It's going to be 16 after this year. They're not going to the playoffs. And if Will McDonald stays, like I said, it's not a bad thing to have them, Bailey and McDonald. I don't want anyone to think that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that you're going to have to use them situationally, and neither one of them is an every down guy. So you've got 2 first-round edge guys who are part-time players. Let's see. And GM Island Empire says if the Penn State guard is not chosen by 13, talking, of course, about Vega Wane, I see the Jets staying put. Yeah, oh man, listen, if they get Vega Wane, I will be a very, very happy person. So here we go. The Saints selection is in. Again, I'm thinking receiver. Receiver or edge. Could it be Bain? There you go. Jordan Tyson is the pick. Well, I'm happy for the kid. Most talented receiver in the class. But with the injury concerns, I'm glad that wasn't a decision the Jets had to make. Let someone else make that decision. Take it out of your hands. But that's 2 receivers off the board. Mekhi Lemon, who some people, I mean, there was talk after the combine that some teams took Mekhi Lemon off their boards completely. There was one insider who reported that the Jets had 3 wide receivers with first-round grades. The problem is the report came from someone who isn't very reliable, and he didn't have Lemon on there as a guy the Jets had a first-round grade on. So given their need at receiver, and not Boston at 16 for the Jets, don't love that. If that's the direction they go, give me Brazel at 33. Give me Brazel at 33, or give me Jeremy Bernard at 33. Saints have a priest at the head of their table in the war room. All right. I guess they're the Saints. Do they do that every year? That is not something I was aware of. Let's see here. So now we've got Cleveland should be on the clock after trading down. And I think this is where we see them take a tackle. They obviously replaced essentially their entire offensive line. But I've said, man, this would be the year for me that I would not sleep on the Browns. Let's see. Yeah, this is I wouldn't sleep on the Browns this year because I think Monken has been successful everywhere he's been in terms of working with quarterbacks. If he can get Deshaun Watson to be 75% of what he was before all of the injuries and the drama, and that defense, I'm not. You can let the Browns be the butt of all your jokes. I mean, really, Jets fans shouldn't be making fun of anybody, any team, joking about, laughing about any other team's failures, because there aren't many teams that are in the Jets league in terms of flat out failing. I mean, how did the Browns don't have the playoff drought? I guess Baker, right? Baker brought, and then they got rid of him. Like, oh my God, how do you get rid of Baker Mayfield? That's wild. But Jordan Tyson goes 8. That's nuts. A few weeks ago, it was the injury concerns, and he's going to fall. And a bunch of people had him going to the Jets at 16, and he goes well before that. And it looks like my My 2 feeds are now on different timetables. So I'll have to switch over. But look, pairing him with Olave, like you've just done Tyler Shuck a pretty big favor. And that's the way you do it, man. Give your quarterbacks players to work with to make things happen. And let's see who's on the clock. Like, yeah, we say Cleveland's on the clock. I think that's going to be Maui Noah. And then the Giants, I think the Giants get Caleb Downs. And I did say at 5 that I was saying Downs with a little bit of a bit of bias. I think that Downs being my favorite player and unlikely to go to the Jets, I wanted to see him go higher, but I don't think he gets past 10. We'll see. We'll see because it's only 2 more picks to go. I don't think the Browns take him. Who does he look? Todd Monken looks like somebody. Oh God. From that angle, I'm not even gonna say it. I'm gonna say John Idzik. He looked a little bit like John Idzik from straight on. But I like Todd Monken, so no insult, no offense meant there, Todd. And we are 7 picks away from Gang Green being back on the clock. And we've got, here we go, Goodell to the podium. What are we thinking, folks? I'm thinking Maui Noah. It's got to be Maui Noah. Okay, they go Fano. And not Maui Noah. So a matter of taste, a matter of what you're looking for. And you just got a guy. I mean, what a great job by them. Anytime you can move them, because everyone in the world had them taking a tackle. And they were all still there. So they got their guy, move down, add picks, and that's how it's done come draft time. Yeah, I like it for them. I like it for Monken. I'm sure Deshaun Watson's liking that a lot. And Shador, they'll compete. But I think if both those guys play at their ceilings, I think, yeah, he's a good player. Showing the Fano highlight reel. See what we got here on him. Let's see here. But I will say, I'm oh yeah, nothing on him. Just I'm light on the tackle prospects this year because I didn't watch a lot of them because I didn't watch as many as I normally would. Excuse me, just because the Jets don't need one. I think they could take one later. JC Davis is a guy that I really like, who I'm really hoping for. And oh wow, Giants pick. Wait, hang on. That was quick. That Giants pick is in. I fear this is Caleb Downs. Wow. And they take Maui Noah. Downs is out of the top 10. I mean, the 2 guys that I want at 16, Awane or Downs, both still on the board with 6 picks to go. Let's take a look real quick. Let's try to project here a little bit. Let's get to that PFN. There we go. PFN board will give us the up-to-date picks, and obviously we can take a look at who's still there. And I'm just trying to line up. Okay, so we know the Browns went. Okay, yeah, they've not. They went Fano. The Giants go, and this is okay. So the reports yesterday was that the run-on tackles or the run-on linemen would start between 10 and 14. It looks to have started at 9. Now the Dolphins are up. Dolphins don't take Caleb Downs. Yeah, I hate to see it. I hate when I love a player and a division rival scoops him up in the draft. Um, you know, once football starts, you just want your team to beat the brains in of whoever you're playing against. But you like these guys, as players, spend a lot of time watching them, and if you like them enough, you just think, God, don't go to a team that I hate. But this is a good job by the Giants. I really thought they were going to be in on Caleb Downs. Obviously not. They had 2 first-round picks, didn't take him with either one. And now Peter Schrager, who had Caleb Downs falling out of the top 10 and was told by an executive, there's no way he falls out of the top 10. This is what I mean. This is what I was saying earlier. I listen to these guys, and this year it just hit me. I'm like, why am I listening? How often are these guys right about stuff? And obviously this isn't Schrager. This is him saying, an executive with a team told him. And I agreed. I didn't think he would get out of the top 10. But admittedly have a bias there. When coming to a season and you say this guy's my favorite player in the class, and he looks like he can be a top 10 player, and you got, supposedly executive saying he's not getting out of the top 10, you're like, hell no, he's not getting out of the top 10. And he did. He will now be, let's see, we've got, okay, so they haven't updated their boards yet at PFN. Got to watch if you haven't seen it, folks. You got to watch the Bill Burr bit on players on the draft. Everybody says the same thing. Happy to be drafted by this team. Gonna try my best. Thank God. Thank my fans. It's like it's weird, right? Because it's a cool moment for them, so you want them to be able to enjoy it. But as a fan, when you've watched it a million times over, it's like, okay, we know what everyone's gonna say once they get taken. Oh, Dolphins trade. Dolphins add a couple of 5th-round picks. The Cowboys jump up from 12 to 11. Much celebrating, high-fiving, jovial Dallas Cowboys war room. The Dolphins, who have, 7 picks in the first 3 rounds or something like that, add themselves a couple of 5s. Come on, Muji, make a deal. I want more picks. 16 is the spot. We talked about it earlier. Philly likely going to want to tackle. A couple have come off the board now. So maybe Philly feels pressure and moves up to like 12, 13. Dolphins make another trade and get a couple more picks. That would suck. But Dallas, who do we think Dallas is going with here? I'll tell you what. I don't want to sound like a broken record. But Dallas, we know they got what they need on offense. I don't want to keep mentioning Caleb Downs, but I feel like, but at the same time, you know what? Just because I don't want to be too much of a Caleb Downs stan, I'm going to say maybe this is Bane. Maybe this is the edge rusher they've been wanting, or they've been needing since letting Micah Parsons go. You put him on a D line that has Quinnen Williams on it, and you'll be well on your way. As I said, they were ecstatic with the move, and yeah, we're gonna pull up the whole board here again. Roger Goodell is not yet on my television, so we're waiting. But Bane's got the short arms. Downs is the guy. Again, if you need help on defense, he helps you against the pass, against the run, in setting the defense. Again, the reports that whether it's his coaches who obviously are going to have a bias, but other onlookers talk about how he is the brains of that defense at Ohio State. I think it's Downs. I think it's going to be Downs. And I'm just glad he's not a Dolphin. If that's where he goes. And if he doesn't go there to the Jets, I don't think the Jets are trading up. I would love for them to trade up, and if they were going to trade up, I would want it to be for Caleb Downs. But let's see. I guess I got two. All right, this feed is not much. It's about a 20-second difference with this feed being ahead. I wonder. I'm going to go with this feed, which is a DAZN feed, and see what YouTube's got. See if they got something that's a little quicker. Goodell coming to the podium. Cowboy selection is in. He's at obviously he's at the podium. Volume's down. I'm going to wait for the name to flash up. Caleb Downs. Congrats to him. Damn it. Vago Wane at 16. Come on. 5 more picks to go. 4 more. Yeah, the Jets being the 5th. Only 4 more players coming off the board between now and the Jets pick, unless, of course, they trade up. So let's take a look. Let's update the PFN board. And let's take a look at who is still there. Downs is he's going to be a stud, all pro. All right, so who we got here? All right, Dolphins on the board now. Or on the clock, sorry. Ruben Bain is still there. Jermod McCoy is still there. Could Makai Lemon be a target for Miami? I think maybe McCoy, Lemon. I'm going to say Lemon. I'm going to say Miami goes with Makai Lemon, given the fact. What do we got here? Yeah, I think they go Makai Lemon with Tyreek Hill out of the picture. They need a big time playmaker. Makai Lemon doesn't have the speed. Nobody has the speed that Cheetah has, but his ability to make people miss after the catch, just a threat to even. I'm not here to say he's going to have a boatload of touchdowns and making multiple players miss, but you rarely see the first guy get him down, and he's got excellent hands, contortion, body control, all that stuff. So, yeah, I think this is I'm going to say Makai Lemon to the Dolphins. I hope not. But again, see, the thing is, without knowing, and of course we don't know. Why would we? But when you hear things like multiple teams took Makai Lemon off their board, you're like, you could be sitting here thinking, man, I hope he falls to the Jets, and they may not even have him. And if that rumor is true, if that story is true, that a lot of teams took him off their board, is there a free fall? Because we say it every year. Every year somebody falls. And this year, like logically, you think Ruben Bain because of the arm length. But could it be Makai Lemon if the reports of him not impressing teams in interviews turns out to be true? Let's see who we got here. Yeah, as I said earlier, the Dolphins are sitting there with 7 picks in the top 100. And let's see. So yeah, I don't know how you guys feel. I think this is going to be either. No, I think it's going to be Lemon. You got to find somebody to replace that production. And I mean, look, they've gutted the roster. Obviously, they're they're the favorites to get Arch or whoever they like at one. Because listen, we all talk about Arch like he's a lock, and he should be. He's probably going to be one. But if someone else significantly outplays him, then you got a whole different story. Dolphins taking a little while with the pick here. These last few picks have come in like a minute or two. So could we be seeing another deal from the Dolphins? Oh, okay. That's okay. Here we go. Dolphins pick is in. I'm going to say Lemon. Oh, wow. There's that run on O line. Caden Proctor. There's a guy that a lot of folks had mocked to the Lions or thought that was the type of guy Philly would be trading up to get. I mean, this is good in the sense that if you're hoping the Jets can trade at 16, this is the run on offensive lineman that you need for a team to say, damn it, we got to jump up. But the problem is, it's even happening a little earlier than you might like. So maybe Philly calls the Rams, or maybe Philly calls. Now, I think the Ravens are the place where we're going to see Ioane go. Crush my dreams there. But if you're the Eagles right now and you've got your eye on an offensive tackle, and you look at now, look, of course, Monroe Freeling is a guy who's still out there, the Georgia tackle. Proctor obviously went. Blake Miller, really good player, really powerful hands, great grip strength. Ihina Core, the basically the brand new to football tackle from Arizona State. I think he's a little more of a project. I think he can be a really good player. But I don't know if a team like the Eagles, when you're the Eagles, when you're that talented, you're thinking Super Bowl. So I don't think they're not going to go with a guy who's as raw. I would be shocked if they did. But really, you've got three more tackles on the board, at least in my mind, who should be drawing interest from Philly. Freeling, Lomu, and Miller. Really surprised they went with Proctor. And Proctor, to me, he's I'm gonna be interested to see what Jets fans say about this because man, did they kill the Jets for drafting Mekhi Becton. Oh, so you can't he's so fat. How are you gonna draft a guy who's that big? He's so fat. You can't draft a fat guy. And now that the Dolphins have drafted this guy, I've drafted Caden Proctor, um, who weighs 1,000,000,000,000, let's be honest. And oh wow. Okay, now what do I do here? I'm trying not to jump ahead of the broadcast for the fans in Europe, but while the broadcast is where they are, I just hopped back onto PFN and refreshed that. They've got picks 14 and 15 in and made and named. Oh, okay, yeah. So my television broadcast is on pick 12. Um, according to PFN, the Jets are on the clock at 16. So, I mean, I'm not sitting on the Jets pick for 10 minutes. Yeah, Jets gang, mad we didn't get downs. I'm right there with you, man. Him and Ioane were my two top picks at 16. Ioane's still on the board, and the Jets are on the clock. So unfortunately, this is this is going to be a spoiler, folks, because I'm not sitting on picks for 20 minutes. I don't know how this happened, or if PFN is just getting this stuff super early and putting it out there. I just threw on another YouTube broadcast of just some bloggers like myself, and they're on pick 14 with the Ravens on the clock. And on PFN, they've got the Ravens pick named and the Bucks pick named and the Jets on the clock. So this is it's kind of aggravating, if I'm being honest. I'm sitting here saying I don't want to spoil anything, but we'll see. We'll see how far behind the broadcast is. And let's see. What is going on here? Okay, PFN's wrong. I don't know. PFN has been correct on every pick so far. And I just glanced up and they have the Dolphins as having taken Ruben Bain. I'm going to run it again and see what happens. And if they screw it up again, I'm coming off PFN. That is super weird. Now we got to see if they're right. Now I just refreshed PFN and they are behind. They have the Dolphins on the clock. Let's see if they get these picks right then. Let's see. Okay, so on the broadcast, the Bucks are on the clock. And yeah, PFN's messing up. Let's just go to. Why am I using PFN when I can just go to NFL.com? What is wrong with me? You know what it is? That's where I do all my mocks, and I'm just so used to it. Here we go. ESPN Draft Tracker. That's where I'm going now. Because that was a very weird situation. All right. Rams are on the clock. I'll tell you what, you add Makai Lemon to that Rams offense, and it's going to cause some problems for people. I hate to think it, but yeah, that could be. I could see that happening. Let's turn this down. I could absolutely see that being a thing with Makai Lemon. Yeah. Daniel Jeremiah speaking up. Okay, he's talking about the possibility of Ty Simpson to the Rams, which, of course, some people like the idea of. Let's see. B. Baru says Cards make the playoffs repeatedly now. Well, maybe not with Brissett, but they got some offensive weapons now for sure. They're gonna be pretty impressive. At least, and now look, they're a team that could be in position to get a quarterback next year. If they do that and they have these weapons, then the Cardinals will be a factor for sure. All right. So the Rams pick is coming in now. No, see, this is still messed up. No. They did it. The Rams take Ty Simpson. Did not at all see that coming. Wow. No, Delaney's gone. He went a little while ago. Hang on one second. This is bonkers. Did not think that was going to happen. But it's hilarious that it did. Delaney went to the Chiefs. Chiefs traded up with the Browns from 9 to 6. They took Delaney. And there you have it. Ty Simpson goes in the first round, which pushes another good player down to the Jets. And look, here's the funny thing, right? Here's the funny part about Ty Simpson ends up with the Rams. Perfect situation for him. But everybody, and I mean everybody, you're out of your mind if you don't view McVay as one of the great offensive minds in the NFL. He thought Ty Simpson was good enough to be a first-round pick. A lot of other people didn't. A lot of people. I was torn on it, man. I said I kind of settled on if they trade up to 32 to get him, fine. I didn't want him at 16. So you can say I'm a dummy too, because I didn't love the idea of him at 16. McVay takes him at 13. And there aren't a lot of coaches in the NFL who are thought of more in terms of their ability to develop offensive talent. And Ty Simpson is a Ram. That's wild. But again, anyone that anyone that you really don't think the Jets would take, you want those guys to go and push people down the board. And hopefully now, with what we've got, Ravens are on the clock. Is this where my guy goes? Is this where the dream ends? Vega Wane, does he go here? I think he does. I think he's the pick. I hope like crazy that he's not. I hope that they're tired of the, one area where the Ravens have failed in recent years. They just haven't drafted well at receiver. They just haven't had that number one guy. So if you're the Ravens, are you looking at this and thinking, let's get our guy a guy? Let's get Lamar Jackson a legit receiver, and you take Mekhi Lemon. I think it's going to be Ioane or Lemon as Ruben Bain. Now, I don't think they take Bain. I mean, good players always seem to fall into their laps. But that's what's happening. I mean, again, you're at 14, so you're bound to get a good player or have a chance to get a good player. But I think Ioane here or Lemon, it would be the pick. Let's see. Beloved Peace, how we doing? Good to see you. What teams did Joe Namath play for? You mean college or pro? Jets, Rams, Bama? And again, this is exactly what Ty Simpson needed. He needed to go somewhere where he could sit and there's no pressure. And he will sit for at least a year, maybe 2, depending on Stafford. Who got Delaney? That was like I said, that was a trade up. Kansas City. They traded up from 9 to 6 and took Delaney at 6. No problem. No problem at all. Jets are up soon, folks. Jets are up soon. Ravens, Bucks, Jets. And we are hoping, I am hoping, that phone rings and it's the Eagles and they offer the Jets a couple picks. You got it. Been a Ram fan since. Oh, so you're a Rams fan. Is that right, Baboru? And you've been a Rams fan since Namath? Yeah, beloved Peace. Unfortunately, I think this is where the slide ends. I hope they take Lemon. I obviously hope they take Lemon. Here we go. Goodell's at the podium making the announcement. I knew it. Oh, man. Guy had Raven written all over him. Said it weeks ago. I was liking that the people, this is, the people who know a lot more than I do, people who make a whole lot of money to do this stuff. I'm like, man, look how many have a bunch of these people have Awane falling past the Ravens. I guess I don't know what the hell I'm talking about because he's got Raven written all over him. But Jeremiah's got him going 21, 22, and he's a Raven. God damn it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So close, beloved piece. So close. So now we sit and we hope, or again, like I said, I hope that the Philadelphia Eagles are on the phone with the Jets right now, trying to make, because listen, the thing is, well, why would Philly have to? Philly would want to, you would think Philly wants to jump Detroit. Detroit's at 17, they could use a tackle. Philly's at 23, they could use a tackle. So Philly would want to jump, you would imagine, to the Bucks or Jets at 15 or 16. And look, what's to stop the Lions from calling the Bucks and just trying to get up to 15 now? You move up 2 spots and get your guy rather than risk being jumped by Philly. That one stings. You got a good one, Baltimore. You got a good one. Let's see what ESPN's got as the best available. Ruben Bain. Again, folks wanted him at 2. Jets might have a shot to get him at 16. You're not doing that, though. You're not taking Bain. That'd be kind of crazy. That would be legitimately crazy. So per ESPN, their top available, Ruben Bain, of course, Mekhi Lemon, Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon, Monroe Freeling, tackle, Jets ain't taking a tackle, Jamad McCoy, injury concerns, Akeem Mesidor, 26 years old, 25 years old, to me, not a guy you draft for a team that's years away from being good. Dylan Thieneman, safety from Oregon, should be in play, along with Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Both safeties, both super athletic. Avion Terrell reportedly ran a 4.6. I don't buy it. Way too good for that. One of my favorite corners in this class. I just think the reason the Jets won't target him is his size. Then you've got Denzel Boston and Omar Cooper Jr., 2 guys who have been mocked to the Jets. Cooper more so. In fact, Daniel Jeremiah had him going to the Jets at 16. Rich Cimini said keep an eye on Denzel Boston as an option at 16. Not in love with either of those guys. I would prefer going with somebody else here. And then as I've beaten a dead horse here, but go with Brazel or Bernard at 33 or 44. But we shall see. Colton Hood should be in play for the Jets. Man. Oh, Bain's falling because of the arm length. Beloved piece. No doubt about it. He's got these 30-inch arms that, again, I like the guy. But you can't dispute when you're sitting in your war room, you can look at the film all you want, but teams are going to look and say, guys with his measurables don't succeed in the league. They just don't. So the odds are against him. Doesn't mean he won't. Doesn't mean he won't be a beast. But are you willing to take that risk in the first round? It would appear a lot. Folks, there were people who had him going 2 to the Jets before the arm length came in. People had him 2. He's still on the board at 16. Well, what are we at? 15. And this could be where he goes, by the way. I'm not sure I'd thrown out a guess on the Bucks pick. This could be where he goes. And I think this is the first team I've said that Bain could go. I thought there was a chance he could fall out of the top 10, but I think Todd Bowles would love to have a pass rusher of this caliber. So Bain here to the Bucks would make a lot of sense. It would still be far later than some anticipated. As I said, I remember having that argument a couple of months ago when it wasn't the argument was not yet about, should the Jets take Arvell Reese? Should they take David Bailey? It was, should they take Arvell Reese or Ruben Bain? And I was like, Reese has more versatility. The Bucks are jumping up and down in the war room as you do when you pick, especially in the first round. Lots of handshakes for Todd Bowles, yada, yada, yada. Where, let's see, I wouldn't take Aller. To me, it's good tools, but footwork, mechanics are a mess. Big time project. I mean, late day 3, maybe. But I would be fine with the Jets. I would be fine with them just passing on a quarterback because it's not going to matter. Like, the goal is to get one in next year's class. Now, if you want to draft like an Altmaier or somebody like that late to develop as a backup, that's fine. But as far as this year, roll with Geno. Let Zappy and Brady Cook fight it out for the backup job. You're not winning anything if Geno starts 17 games. If Geno misses time, you're not upgrading. You're not getting a better player once there's an upgrade. So you're going to get worse. So whether it's a rookie or Zappy or Cook, to me, you're just kind of throwing a pick away. Here we go. Pick is in for the Tampa Bay Bucks. And I'll tell you what, if it's not Ruben Bain here, I worry for that dude, how far he might slide. Here comes Jolly Roger to the podium. There you go. There you go. That made the most sense. And like I said, if he didn't go there, it's like, where does he go? Because Tampa was in serious need of an edge rusher. And see, now, this could be good for the Jets. This is where you hope that phone rings and you hope it's the Philadelphia Eagles saying, hey, we would like to move up and snag a tackle. If not, I'll tell you what, if the Jets don't take Lemon here, then he wasn't, they have, Phil's a need, arguably you could say he's the best player on your board right now. That you could make a valid case that he's the best player on the board right now, and the Jets have a need at that position. If he's not a guy they take, then rumors of teams taking him off their boards is 1,000,000% true. Because it's rare that, how often do you have the best player on the board meeting one of your biggest needs? That doesn't, the worlds don't often come together like that. And I don't mean just me. I've just pulled up the ESPN board and they've got Mekhi Lemon as the best player on their board. I wholly agree, just from a pure talent standpoint. I did say, though, at the combine, before the reports of him being taken off boards because of his attitude, I thought he looked wonky at the combine. I thought it had like Adam Gase vibes. Like, Gase was all bug-eyed and Lemon was like dead-necked, just flopping his head around, looking like either he wasn't well or he didn't want to be there. And then literally the next day, I saw a report that said teams are not impressed with him one-on-one and they're taking him off their boards. So for that reason, beloved piece, I'm not shocked that he's falling. And again, if he doesn't go here, it only takes one team, obviously, to take a gamble on a guy. Going to jump ahead here. Let's see. He's not going to the Lions. He's not going to the Vikings. The Panthers would probably like to add another receiver to help out their young ascending quarterback. Dallas, if there's a Pickens deal, we don't know about that. Yeah, we'll see. We shall see, but the Jets are on the clock, folks. New York Jets on the clock. We are praying for a trade, but don't see it happening. Now the report that came out about teams taking Makai Lemon off their board, Jets pick is in. They will not be trading. All right. All right. I'm going to say man. All right. Let's throw out a guess here. I'm going to say Dylan Thieneman. I'm going with the Oregon safety. I think I'm wrong. I think what I'm doing is wishful thinking, to be honest. Now I'm looking at the names. I'm going to say Thieneman or Boston. I know Jeremiah had Cooper, Samini, and that's Rich Samini said they're really high on Boston. So we'll see. Or my guy, Casey Concepcion. Here we go. Wow. Wow. Okay. We got a big time curveball. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from Oregon. Freak, explosive athlete from Oregon. Pass catcher. Just really I thought with Mason Taylor, having just drafted him, that tight end, I thought they would take a tight end, but I thought later on. I'm not gonna say I'm not surprised. I'm pretty damn surprised right now. I like him. I mean, it's I think I said at one point when there was all this talk about the receivers, it was like, well, can Sadiq be a better option as a pass catcher than some of these receivers we're talking about? So Makai Lemon, yeah, beloved piece. I don't know if I even finished the sentence. I was starting to say that that rumor of Makai Lemon falling came from Chris Nimbley, who is a Jets beat writer, and it's like, okay, if a guy who covers the Jets is saying that this player is coming off of boards, you would imagine logically the Jets are one of them. It's not a mortal lock, but a possibility, a chance. So there you have it. Kenyon Sadiq. I'm just really surprised right now. I think most people are. I don't think anybody had that. Anybody have this play. This is one of my favorite plays from Sadiq during the season. Double coverage here. Goes up, gets it, comes down for the touchdown. I mean, excellent throw, but really nice job between two defenders. Concentration, holds on through contact, right down the middle, gets hit twice, hangs on for the touchdown, and then stands on his head to a little bit of showmanship at the end there. So there you have it, folks, with their 2 first-round picks. The Jets split. They go defense, then they go offense. Let's hop on. I mean, Sadiq, again, freak athlete. Let's see what our good friend Emery Hunt had to say about Kenyon Sadiq. And actually, pull up the ESPN scouting report. Tight end frame, receiver athleticism, we know that. 43.5-inch vert with a 4.4 40. I thought he ran sub 4.4. Versatile, sits down in windows against zone. Knows how to create separation at the top of his routes. My thing with him is the fact that you can line him up at receiver, and like I said, that was one of the thoughts I had was that he might be a better option than some of the receivers we're seeing, especially if you're a team that's looking to run the ball more, which I think the Jets will be because he's going to be a better blocker than most of these guys. Beloved Piece doesn't like the pick. I don't think you're going to be alone in that, Beloved Piece, and I don't love it. I don't have a problem with it. I think this is it's one of those picks when it's so far from out of left field that it's going to take me a minute to process because I really thought with having taken a tight end early last year that we wouldn't see another tight end till later on this year. But here we are. So that's a surprising pick, and it's a shame the Jets didn't find a way to move down. Freeling is a good player, but they're not taking a tackle. He is going to be a tackle at the next level. Monroe Freeling. And now the Lions are on the board, did not have to trade up, are on the clock, and did not have to move up. They're going to get a tackle, and Philly might be in trouble if the Lions take one because quite a few have gone now. Let's see. Best available currently, Kai Lemon, Monroe Freeling, who, again, could be a Lion, Jermon McCoy, the Tennessee corner, Akeem Mesidor, again, Dylan Thieneman, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, the safeties. Let's look just at the tackles. Again, Freeling and Lomu. I think one of those two. And it looks like Philly's just going to let the draft come to them. I mean, again, Blake Miller will be there. Likely. Maybe he's the play for Philly. But here's the Lions pick. I'm going to say Monroe Freeling. Let's see what Roger Goodell says. Well, the Jets haven't used their tight ends in the past, but Frank Reich has. And he's the new guy. So hopefully, imagine we're going to see a whole lot of 2 tight end sets. Which again could make you more versatile. Or multiple on offense. So maybe they use him a little bit at H-back, a little bit at tight end, pair him with Taylor. It could work out. Like I said, I don't dislike the pick. I'm just taking it in because I didn't think it was a possibility. Not something I'd considered. And here's the Lions pick coming in. Again, I'm going to guess Freeling. Oh, Blake Miller. Okay. Who I thought might be there for Philly. He goes earlier than that. So there you have it. Like we said, we thought Detroit might go tackle. Dropped my damn phone. It's clicking away. I'm assuming messages from both happy and unhappy Jets fans. Whoa. Okay. I missed a few minutes, apparently. 506 messages. Yeah. We'll see. Let's hop back over to the, let's see. Oh, Vikings pick is in. Let's look at the rounds. There we go. We're going to hop back over to the Jet Nation forums in a second and see how fans are taking the Kenyon Sadiq news. Let's see. Some rage messages that are coming in to me now about that Kenyon Sadiq pick. Yeah, not a lot of folks thrilled about that. But like I said, let's check the old forums on Jet Nation now that we've given. Whoa. Okay, now this makes sense from a need standpoint. Caleb Banks. But taking Caleb Banks, this man with the broken foot, multiple breaks, whatever it is, I didn't think you could risk. That might be the biggest draft party I've ever seen. There might be 200 people in that room. Dude's hype. He should be. When he's good, he's the best DT in this class. But the injuries are scary. Injuries are scary. But the Vikings needed DTs badly, and now they get one. And we are going to hop on. And again, folks, I don't know if they've slowed registration at all because I'm busy doing this. But we've got some people talking on the Jet Nation forums, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say this pick will not be popular. Like I said, I don't dislike it. I just was shocked by it. But now, as I'm thinking about it, Frank Reich does like his tight ends. Sadiq does have the athleticism you could, and good enough blocker that you can move him around. So I think, in terms of the Jets entering the modern era of football, I like having a guy like that who can line up in a bunch of spots. But let's see. First member, Don Corleone says, disgusting. This team is disgusting. Biggs makes up for the Taylor pick last year. I think the Taylor pick isn't. It's jury's still out. Jury's still out. Let's see. The Jets are the stupidest. Clown organization. Great. Folks are not thrilled with this. We passed on Bowers and Warren in back-to-back years just to end up taking this bleeping guy at the top half of the first round. Don't get me started on Brock Bowers, man. Don't get me started on. Let's see. Sadiq is basically going to play wide receiver in Reich's scheme. I think there is some truth to that. One person was on a plane and thought the Jets took Baines, and now he's unhappy. Fastest tight end in history in a 44-inch vert. He's playing receiver, basically, says Neck Demon, which I think will be a lot of that. A lot of him at tight end. Let's see. Longtime member, poster, one of my favorites. Gun of Bavaria says, my favorite part of stopping by to visit this board is watching all of you who have yet to figure out this franchise is a goddamn joke and will never amount to anything in your lifetime or that of your grandchildren. I wonder why Jets fans are so cynical. No idea. Bobby816 says, would have preferred Boston. Biggs says, Mason Taylor is a stiff who was overdrafted. Look, Mason Taylor, he had 2 nice games early in the season, but then he did pretty much disappear. I know he had the game winner on the trick play, but really not much out of him aside from those 2 games. Who else do we have? Let's see. Dante Moore will love having him back as a target. Of course, saying Moore will be the pick next year. Dante Moore, I'll tell you what, folks. It's like I applaud the guy for coming out and letting the world know that he battles with depression. That's not an easy thing for somebody to do, I would imagine. But the cynic in me says teams are going to take him off their board for that. There's teams that are going to worry about that. I hope not. I hope he's well and his doctors write him some letters write the league some letters on his behalf. But I could see teams being like, nope, don't want him. Let's see. Funny that people label this pick a tight end. He'll play wide receiver more and offers tons of versatility, says Hawk. And that's where I'm at. I think the versatility, I think they can be multiple on offense by having a guy who they can put at H-back, they can put at wide receiver. I'm sure he'll see plenty of time in the slot. I think that yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Of course I think it's a fair assessment. It's what I was saying. We all do it, right? We all love our confirmation bias. What else we got here? Like I said, log in, get yourself a membership, all free. All the content's free, message board, and it's a great place for Jets fans to often wallow in their misery, unfortunately. And now the Panthers pick is in. I got so many damn tabs open at this point. There you go. Monroe Freeling, the tackle. See, I thought we might see a receiver there. Obviously, we do not. And best available players at this point. And this is important because, that Makai Lemon. He should not be there at this point. Let's see here. I'm trying to get to best available, right? See who ESPN ranks and who's on the clock now. Let's take a quick look. Carolina just picked, so that means Philly. Did they trade up? Did they trade with Dallas? Am I missing something here? I could have sworn Philly was at 23 earlier. And they are now sitting at 20. Maybe the run on tackles. Yeah, once Freeling went. Yeah. Philly traded up. Should have tried to get to 16, Philly. Whoa, okay. There you go. I'll wait for Goodell to announce it on here before I say it. But that is a good get for Philly. And yeah. Makai Lemon. The slide falls. He goes to Philly. The A.J. Brown trade, which has been rumored. You imagine that's what prompts this move. That's pretty wild. Sorry, I've been out of the chat for a few minutes, guys. Been checking out the forums, and we will. Let's see. We will hop back in there, though. Again, this Jet Life says, I'd like to pick more if we can land a wide receiver, and there are still good ones on the board. Let's see what happens. NY Jets 1969 says, got out of work a little bit ago, but love the pick. Jets needed a tight end who's a weapon. Lemon is a slot guy, not a true number 2. Could get Cooper in the second round. Brazzle. Go Brazzle. Shades of Amaro, says Jet Depression. I don't agree with that at all. Amaro was a big, plotting, unathletic tight end with small hands. I don't see that. Sadiq over Lemon, interesting call, says Aussie Jet. Oi, oi, oi. And yeah, Mogul says if Frank Reich uses this kid like Zach Ertz, it could be fun to watch. And I think he's going to be a good, versatile move piece. Who they're going to be able to, like I said, they'll be able to do a lot of different things with him on the field. as a blocker, as a team that wants to run the ball. Makai Lemon holding back those tears. Big hug for Roger Goodell. You know, we saw the slide. Here's a guy who probably heard the talk about him possibly going in the top 10, and then he ends up going 20th. Adani B says, I love that they had the balls to make the pick for Kenyon Sadiq. Now we got to hope he reaches his full potential. And that this is a gutsy pick by Muji because you know there's going to be criticism. I don't have a problem with it. Okay, yeah. Double Down says, very meh. I don't understand the strategy. The strategy. They drafted Taylor in the second last year, extended Ruckert with solid money. Ruckert was low money. He'll be tight end 3. Yeah, I think you went out and you got an elite talent, elite physical profile anyway, in Sadiq. So I don't mind it. Like I said, I think he's a good enough blocker that you don't have to take him off the field. He's not a live. I mean, so many tight ends in today's game are essentially it's almost silly calling them tight ends. They're wide receivers who never block. But Sadiq does block. Let's see. Nope, not that. There we go. Kenyon Sadiq. Like I said, I've shared my thoughts. Here's what Emory Hunt, football game plan, buy his draft guide, folks. It's awesome. Here's what he's got to say about Sadiq. Arguably some of the strongest hands in the class, especially at the catch point. You kind of saw that in the highlight that I played, the touchdown catch between the two defenders. Will confidently go up in traffic and make a catch. Well built. Can tell he takes the weight room seriously. Shows on the field. Blocks and all-out physical defenders within the route and catch point. Terrific acceleration when he's flexed out in space. Also showing some savvy to work himself open versus off coverage. Has the ability to play flex or H-back, which I'd also said they probably view him as a guy who will play some H-back for them. Areas of improvement that he lists says a lot of times he makes great initial contact with the defender, only to not run his feet to finish. We get much more movement in the run game if he brought his feet with him consistently. Well, there you go. Very, very coachable aspect of his game. And he is actually Emory Hunt's tight end / H-back 1 in this class. So you got a freak athlete. And I don't know why ESPN had him down as running a 4.4. I knew that was I knew he was in the 4.3s. Fastest 40 ever, right? Wasn't it? In the history of the... All right. Pittsburgh is going absolutely bonkers. They are on the clock after Makai Lemon goes to the Eagles. What a move by Howie Roseman. He does not mess around at all. All right. Come on, Pittsburgh. Let's go. Oh, let's throw out a prediction here. See best available. There we go. Could this be... I'm going to go Emmanuel Pregnon. Bettis is coming out. It looks like a couple high school or college guys to make the announcement. I'm going to say Besantis or Pregnon here. They kind of have Steeler written all over them. Especially, I think, Pregnon. Just the physicality. I think that or one of the safeties. I'm gonna say Pregnon or Thieneman for the Steelers at 21. Let's see who we got. Here we go. Wow. All right. Having just said that I didn't think he would go that early because of the inexperience, Max Hanachor from Arizona State. Young, raw, but big dude, 6'5", just under 6'6". Man, I mean, good for this guy, you know? Did not allow a sack, started 12 games per NFL Network. Wow, I thought he would be a late round 1, early round 2. Um, I mean, 21 is sort of bordering on late, isn't it? But yeah, he was a basketball guy who took up football not very long ago and just started dominating right out of the gate. And, great footwork, opened a lot of eyes. That's a little bit surprising. I would have expected somebody a little bit more established because because of the inexperience, he might be a little while away. But what people tend to say about him, I watched a lot of his film this year. Yeah, but they're saying that, he showed I don't think I watched him at all last year. Not that I focused on anyway. But and I've heard multiple people say this, and I'm sure Daniel Jeremiah just said it there. Is the rapid improvement in his game, and he just kind of seemed like a natural the way he came along. So not bad. Not a bad pick for Pittsburgh. Just a little bit surprising, like I said, in terms of experience. He's only been playing for a couple years. But imagine being that good. Like you take up football at like 17 and 3, 4 years later, you're in the NFL. That's that's nuts. And let's see who we got on the clock now, folks. We've got the Chargers. LA Chargers. I'm still not used to saying LA Chargers. Just not. Pull them up. Jermon McCoy, best player on the board according to ESPN, but they were injury concerns, man. He's gonna fall. Hate to say it, but I can't see anyone taking him, that early. Um, just had some medicals come back that showed the need for another surgery. I'd have a hard time seeing that. But who are some of the other best remaining? Akeem Mesidor, Thieneman, Manuel McNeil Warren, Avian Terrell. I mean, still in the first round, still in the early 20s, so there's obviously good players on the board. I feel like Caden McDonald, underrated guy. A lot of people have him falling to round 2, and I watch him, and I'm like, this is not a round 2 player. He's way too good for that. But sometimes guys fall. I mean, look, we just saw Makai Lemon fall. Well, I guess you can't say Lemon fell a ton because a lot of people had him at 16 to the Jets. And he only went a few picks after that. But Chargers, I say Keldrick Falk. Oh, as I was saying it, they go Akeem Mesidor. So I was thinking edge, but they go with the more explosive, but also much older Akeem Mesidor. And that's not a knock on him. The dude can play. You're still, people say you can't draft him because he's old. I feel like you just can't draft him if you're the Jets. If you're a team that's multiple years away from contending, you can't draft a guy who's going to be 29 when you're good. on his rookie contract. You can't do that. But a team that's ready to compete, at least for a playoff spot now, I would say the Chargers are in that boat, especially with their quarterback. And so Messidor makes sense to me to go. And he's a guy, we say it every year, right? You watch all these prospects, and every now and then you're watching a guy, and you're like, this dude's teammate is right up there with him. And the first couple times I watched Bane, I was just like, why is I hadn't heard Messidor's name up to that point. I'm like, why is nobody talking about this dude? Like, there were some plays where you felt like he might be better than Bane. And, and of course, now not having the length concerns and all that. But either way, no matter which guy you think is better, Messidor was he just jumped off the tape. And I was like, this guy's a menace. The one downside, or I should say the downside that goes with the age, he's not a 20, 21-year-old who you could say he's still growing into his body and could get bigger, faster, better. Like, he's probably peaked. And, he's peaked in terms of size. Yeah, you can coach him up a little more, but physically he's done developing. I mean, look, doesn't mean he can't change how he works out and have that work out for him. But not a bad pick there. Like I said, I only thought he would be a bad pick for a team that wasn't ready to compete yet. Not the case landing in LA. On the clock now, Dallas Cowboys. Let's take a look here. Cowboys at 23 after the trade down with Philly. Best players on the board. Just going to say Dallas got Caleb Downs earlier. Of course they did. Jermod McCoy, again, the injuries. I don't think he goes there because of the injuries. I don't think they're going to trade Pickens. He signed the franchise. I think he's going to stay there I think they're going to try to keep him long term. Could they be Zion Young? Could they be I was going to say, could they be one of the safeties? Because ESPN's board, those guys are 2 and 3 of the best remaining, with McCoy and his injuries being 1. So the best players on the board are safeties. I'm pretty sure Dallas could use one. I'm going to say it's the Eneman here. I'm calling it the Eneman. Let's see. Okay. And the Eneman, again, another guy. We saw so many players in this year's combine, at multiple positions, just running 40 times that were absolutely mind blowing. Just entire workouts, not just the 40s. The Eneman was absolutely off the charts. And I think, let me see. I was checking to see if I wanted to get his exact numbers in terms of the his combine. ESPN does not have them. Matt Miller's pro comp, Malik Hooker. That's pretty high praise. Hooker, of course, the issue was injuries, but hell of a player when he was on the field. And the enemy can cover ground like that, obviously. And Dallas's pick is in. Let's see. Like I said, I'm going with the Edelman here. I don't know who Jeremiah projected. I don't have his mock pulled up. But of course, he wouldn't have had that. He wouldn't have had Dallas at 23, would he? And here we go. There you go. Dallas. There's one of my sneak into the first round guys. Malachi Lawrence, edge out of UCF. Folks, I'm not the smartest man in the world, but when I watched that dude on film and then saw his combine and saw people putting him in the 40s and 50s, I was like, what? And I kept saying, why isn't he getting first round buzz? Why isn't Malachi Lawrence getting first round buzz? And I kept saying it and tweeting it and mentioning it on the show. The other day I did our bold predictions. And I think that was my first one or my favorite one or most likely to happen, however you want to phrase it. I just thought it just doesn't make sense. How is a guy built like this, who runs like this, explodes like this, has a motor like this? Why is this dude not being talked about as a first round pick? Dallas gets it. Caleb Downs, Malachi Lawrence. Dallas may well have had me in the draft room, in the war room. That's two of my favorite guys off the board to the boys. They needed to fix that defense. Whew. Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Malachi Lawrence, Caleb Downs. Dallas is fixing that defense. Good job by them. Now, so who were the other edge rushers on the board that Dallas took? That Dallas skipped over? Keldrick Falk, Zion Young. And that was the question I asked, right? And I brought up several times. Who would you take, Malachi Lawrence, Zion Young, or TJ Parker? Because I like all three. Now, if you're a 3-4 team, I would have said Parker or Young. But if you got a 4-3, then I would have said go with Lawrence. And that's what Dallas did. That's a really, really nice job. So let's see here. Take a look. Who is on the clock now? Cleveland again. Cleveland's on the clock after taking Spencer Fano, the tackle out of Utah, the first time around. What do they do here? They got the tackle. Let me go to best available. Let's see who's out there for Cleveland. I'm not going to say one of the safeties again. And I don't think that, I mean, their defense is so squared away. They really should be looking at offense, at least in my mind. Do you go receiver, Cooper Jr. or Boston? Casey Concepcion. They lost Njoku. I'm going to go Stowers. Let's say Eli Stowers. Let's go with a little bit of a. I mean, is he a first round talent? Njoku left. I know they still have Fannin, the Bowling Green kid from last year. So it's not as pressing. I mean, what team would take a tight end early 2 years in a row, right? You have to be an idiot to do that. I'm kidding. I like the pick. Are there any? How about I'm going to say Colton Hood. There's my prediction for the Browns. Colton Hood. Here's Goodell to make the announcement. There you go, Concepcion. Good player. Happy for him. Yeah. I like let's throw some Casey Concepcion highlights up there. Him getting picked. I know I've got a ton on him. I'll probably even have some from his oh wow. Looks like I've got a handful. I must have lost some because I had a ton from the first couple years of his career. But you see the quick feet, you see his ability to cut on a dime, get open over the middle. A little bit of a hiccup on that one. Try one more time. One more time. Lined up on the inside, breaks outside, puts the hand up between two defenders. Throw comes in a little bit high. He plucks it. That's why the drops with him surprise me. Because you do see him make a lot of nice catches, and you think he's got high level hands, and then you just see the odd drop. I mean, he wasn't like Alan Lazard. He didn't have like a 30% drop rate, but he did have, I think, 7 this year, which is not very good. Let's see. Real quick, let's jump on and see what some of the beat writers are saying. Kenyon Sadiq is an absolute freak. This from Zach Rosenblatt, which we know that insane 40, that insane vert, kind of told us that 13 catches for 20 plus yards, better blocker than you'd expect. Agree with that. Able and willing to play specials. 6 drops last season, but he's a movable weapon. That to me, that's the key to the pick. The key to this pick is not just the athleticism, but his ability to move all over the formation. And Rosenblatt says he and Taylor will play together. I think I said that earlier. Ultimately, the Jets felt there was a big drop off after Tate and Tyson, which is why they were open to going with Sadiq over the likes of Omar Cooper and Mekhi Lemon. They can still take a wide receiver later, of course. So yeah, I think that the pick gives them, as I've said, just gives them a versatile guy who can move all over the place and make plays, and you'll still have an opportunity to get a receiver later. Kenyon Sadiq says it's unreal to be a Jet. It's special. Oh, it's special. It's special, all right. Kenyon, you will find out. You will find out. Zach Rosenblatt says, I'm Kenyon Sadiq. I've texted several other coaches. Comparison that keeps coming up is Vernon Davis. And I think I heard that after his combine when he did what he did there. People were like, this guy could be the next Vernon Davis. Now, from a work ethic standpoint, at least early in Davis's career, you hope that's not the case. But, you know, that's just, there's really no reason to believe that. Let's see where we are. I haven't missed any picks, have I? I may have, rambling on about the Jets there. Nope. Concepcion to the Browns. And Jets now, or sorry, the Bears now on the clock. Their pick is in. Let's see. Excuse me. Say, sorry, excuse me. Oh, wow. We've got a trade between the Texans and Bills, apparently. Let's see. So the Bills have moved up. Interesting. And Bears on the clock. Like I said, who do they go with? I can see them going edge or safety here. Do they go Keldrick Falk, Zion Young? I'm going to say Zion Young here for the Bears. Or a safety, but I'll say safety. They go Thieneman. So there you go. A lot of folks had two safeties going in the first round, but I'd say in recent weeks we saw that change a little bit, and it kind of became Thieneman in the first round, and then Emmanuel McNeil-Warren early second, which again is sort of Jets territory. And now we will find out. All right, here's the trade. The Texans receive the Bills' first round pick, number 26, and third round pick, number 91. The Bills receive 28, 69, and 191. So a first and a third from the Bills to the Texans in exchange for a first, a third, and a sixth. And they move up 2 spots. So Buffalo did this last year. Buffalo jumped the Jets like 3 times. So if the Bills feel like there's somebody they might be competing with for a player and they get within 2 or 3 spots, the Bills will pick up the phone and make a phone call or make a call and make something happen. So Dylan Thieneman to the Bears, which brings us to who's on the clock now? Duh, of course. The Bills, who just traded up. So what are the Bills trading up for? What are the Bills trading up for? I'll tell you what. Don't let the Bills. No, they're not trading up for Chris Brazzell. I don't want to see Josh Allen throwing the football to Chris Brazzell for the next however many years Josh Allen has left in the league. So let's see. What do we think it is? What do we think it is for Buffalo? They got to get Josh Allen some help, some receivers. The Keon Coleman bust. Obviously a disaster nightmare pick. Do they go Omar Cooper? Take any of the receivers except Chris Brazzell. That's all I'm saying. All I envision is 6'5" Brazzell running 4.3s. And folks, I'm here to tell you, he is not a one-trick pony. He is not just go routes. Chris Brazzell can ball. And if you paired him with Josh Allen, that would be dangerous. So let us all hope this is not. And I haven't seen anyone mock Brazzell in the first round. But that's just, when you're looking at teams that are selecting who are in your division, at least I will look at, what's the worst case scenario here? What's the last thing I want to see? And for me, the last thing I want to see is Brazzell and Josh Allen, because that would be the potential there would be a nightmare for AFC East and a lot of other folks. I'm going to take a look and see. Hang on. I am really curious here, though. Like, who is the receiver? If it is a receiver, I'm assuming here. But I guess there's a possibility it's another position. That would be surprising. I don't think I'm off base to think that. Hang on a second. This said the Bills traded up. One screen says the Bills traded up. And the next screen said that's best available. And the next screen said that the Texans, okay. All that talk for nothing. Was that it? Did they trade for next year's one? Because NFL.com said there was a trade, and they had Buffalo at 26. And now they have Buffalo off the board completely. Unless I missed something that basically what I'm saying right now is that sorry, I said NFL.com. According to ESPN.com right now, the Bills don't have a first round pick. And a couple seconds ago, it said they did. Okay, they just updated it. They're being a bit dodgy here. And so the Bills are at 28. ESPN had them at 26 a few seconds ago. They've now made the change. And there goes Keelan Rutledge, Georgia Tech, monster, animal, mauler. Great pick. Glad he didn't go to the Bills. He's a guy I tweeted out recently and said, guys like Rutledge are why I like the depth at guard in this class. But there were a lot of folks who said he's not a first-round pick. And he'll be there in the 40s and 50s, which I thought, well, I guess he's not as good as I think he is. But I'm glad he's going to be there, because if the Jets could get him at 33 or 44, I'd take it. They will not be getting him at 33 or 44. The Texans just got themselves a very good guard. Tone-setting, old school, through the whistle, beat you up and steal your lunch, as they say. And we got another trade. Another trade, folks. Pick number 27 is now in the possession of the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are on the clock. And I'm looking for details on the trade. And I don't see them yet right now. Now, this would be kind of wild if the Dolphins jumped the Bills to grab a receiver, with the Bills expected to take one. So we'll see what Miami does here. I haven't looked at the best available receivers in a little bit. It's going to be Cooper, right? Denzel Boston, Omar Cooper, Zachariah Branch, who I like. I feel like I would take him over Cooper and Boston. That's just me. And of course, Chris Brazzell, I would take him over any of those guys. Yeah, so there's some good receivers here. But Miami, let's see what their needs are. Listen, I think receiver is their number one need. That's what I'd be attacking if I were them. Have they made a pick yet? They had a ton. They traded back once. Yeah, they took Caden Proctor, of course. So they got a tackle. They could go corner, but I think if you're jumping the Bills, you're taking a receiver. But we'll see. And I think Rutledge may have been one of my guys that I said would go earlier. Like I said, top 50 because, and look, the stuff I was looking at didn't have him as like it, that. And I think I said that wasn't a bold prediction. I just, his average was sort of, he was in the mid 50s. And I thought, no, he's too good for that. He's going to go earlier than that. He goes in round 1. So good for him. And like, as we said, when these guys, what we need to be looking at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jets are up in 7 more picks. Who are some of the best players available who may be there for the Jets? Again, Jermod McCoy, but you're not taking him with the injuries. So you got McNeil Warren, Terrell, Boston, Omar Cooper, Keldrick Falk, Caden McDonald, Peter Woods, Caleb Lomu, Zion Young, Cassius Howell, Colton Hood. Yeah, so there's good players at positions of need, as you would expect. When you have 4 picks in the top 44 and as many needs as the Jets have, you are going to consistently. Oh, wait, the Dolphins pick is in. All right. I'm seeing it on a different feed. I will lay off until it's announced on the. Oh, actually, let's see. If it's on the ESPN feed, I'll say it. Let's see. No, they've still got the Dolphins on the clock, so I will keep my mouth shut and not spoil it. Once the network announces it or I see it on ESPN, I will go ahead and share. But we don't do spoilers here. It's not nice. It's poor form. It's poor form to do that. What time we got? It's almost 4 a.m. here. All right. I will say, because it's going to be announced here in a second. No, I'm not going to say anything. The Bills are on the clock now, though. Bills are on the clock. Dolphins have picked. I can see Goodell coming out to announce it. And there you go. Chris Johnson, San Diego State corner. Another guy, highly thought of. Didn't see a lot of first round love for him. Again, another lot of top 50 type. Didn't see a lot of round 1. But good player, very physical corner. And they say they've got his pro comp is Tre'Davious White. But some of these guys, they play the lower level competition. But let's see. But the guy, he looks fantastic on film, and you want guys. As much as I know fans killed Sauce Gardner for it, and I did defend him because I feel like if you're an elite cover corner, which Sauce is, yes, he's got to get more picks, but that's not our concern now. But yeah, Sauce's tackling wasn't as bad as people made it out. He did have that stretch of 5 or 6 games where he seemed to not be interested in tackling, but before that and after that, it was never much of an issue. But someone like Chris Johnson gets after it. He's not willing to tackle. He wants to tackle. We got Rappaport Let's see if this is anything big. All right. Well, that's an interesting little note. The Eagles got Makai Lemon, um, but he was actually, when they tried to call him to tell them they were taking him, they were unable to get through to him because he was on the phone with the Steelers, who were telling him they were going to take him when the trade happened, and Philly jumped Pittsburgh and took him. So the Patriots have traded up. Interesting times in New England. I mean, people can laugh about the situation all they want, but once football season starts, it ain't going to matter, and the Patriots are a problem. Goodell to the podium. I haven't. Let's take a look. See if we can get a guess in here before he announces it. I know they need O-line. Up there it is. Caleb Lomu. 6'6", 313, Utah tackle. Makes sense. Thought they would go offensive line. Figured it would be tackle. Because, I mean, who's the next? Basantis is probably the next guard off the board. I don't think he's going to go in the first. I know Schrager had him as a first a couple weeks ago, and that was one of the few that I looked at, and I was like, I think he's off base on this one. I don't think Basantis. And look, he might. There's still a few picks left. I just didn't think he would be a guy who would go that early. That being Basantis, the Texas A&M guard. We got 4 picks left in this round, folks. And so the Jets are still, with pick 33, the Jets are in range to move up if they so desire, because now it wouldn't cost a whole lot to move up 2 or 3 spots. But really, with the players who are on the board, sit tight, let it come to you. No need to do anything crazy. And let's see. "24 starts in the last 2 seasons for Lomu." And the Chiefs pick is in. Let's see what we like for the Chiefs here. They already went with a corner. I feel like they keep drafting receivers who don't quite live up to the billing. Rich Cimini says a few days ago, a source said he wouldn't be surprised if the Jets took Kenyon Sadiq, saying Frank Reich loves tight ends. The Jets get Sadiq at 16. One scout on Sadiq, athletic mismatch, which we all know. A guy who will play detached from the formation, which we've said a couple times. Mentioned comps as Kelsey, McBride, Likely, and Waller. Good company. Very good company. Yeah. Yeah. So the I would say fans are split. Let's fire off a tweet about that. Little Twitter poll. See how fans are feeling. There we go. See how that goes among the Jets faithful. Should have done that right after the pick, to be honest. And let's see. Casey still on the clock. According to ESPN, best available. They said, like, if you're going to have Jamon McCoy as best available, there should be some type of flag, just as a team would have on him, and say injuries could cause him to drop. But you've got McCoy, you've got Emmanuel McNeil, Warren, Avian Terrell, Denzel Boston, Omar Cooper, Keldrick Fall, Caden McDonald. Peter Woods is an interesting one. Peter Woods, I talked about this the other day. Rand Carthon, former Titans GM, said he was his DT1 coming into the year, and that never changed. Just look at what happened with Clemson. Everybody on that team underperformed. I think these. Oh, here we go. Jets made a trade. The Jets are back in the first round. The Jets have traded pick 33 and pick 179 to the 49ers for pick 30. We are back in the first round, folks. Wait a second. Oh, yeah. All right. Who do we like here, Jets fans? Who's it going to be? Oh, and Peter Woods, just as I'm talking about him, or seconds after mentioning Rand Carthon saying he is DT1 in this class, goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's kind of why I thought it was worth stopping to note that about him. I thought there was a good chance KC would get a steal there, and they do. And now the New York Jets, are they? Oh, hang on. So you gave up a 5. You move up to get back into the first round. You jump the Bills because the Bills jumped you twice last year. And now you jump Buffalo. Maybe Buffalo wanted a receiver and you were a little worried about that. So you're going to jump up and take a receiver. How about Chris Brazzell right here? How about Chris Brazzell? Give me Chris Brazzell, Darren Muji. Tell me that you just jumped him. Tell me you just jumped Buffalo to get Chris Brazzell. It could be any of the other receivers, obviously. Brazzell's the guy I would want. Obviously, I think I just screamed his name about 7 times. But it could be Cooper, it could be Boston, could be Zachariah Branch. But I'm thinking receiver, and I'm hoping it's a big play receiver. Let's see. What'd you do here, Darren? Give me Brazzell. All right. Or McCoy, if it's not receiver, but the fact you jumped Buffalo makes me think it's a receiver. Let's see. All right, Roger, what do you got for us? All right, it's Omar Cooper. Doesn't quite have the downfield speed and height combo that Chris Brazel has, but he's still viewed as a number 2 receiver, a guy who Daniel Jeremiah mocked to the Jets at 16. A lot of folks did. And the Jets get a guy who fills a huge need. I feel like he's a really good route runner. I was actually watching Steve Smith pod earlier today. And he was knocking his route running, which I thought was very good. Let's see. Let's get a tiebreaker here. Let's look up what our good friend Emery Hunt has to say about Omar Cooper and see if he mentions his route running. They refer to him as a Deebo Light, as in Deebo Samuel Light. And you see that. You see the physicality that, that Deebo Samuel was so known for. So 3-1s this year and 3-1s next year. Jets will have 6 first-round picks in 2 years. Big night for the Jets, folks. Big night for the Jets. Real quick, from Emery, ability to make the first guy miss with the ball in his hands, gives you upside after the catch. Built like a running back. Again, Deebo Light. Willing to go into the hornet's nest, go across the middle, not afraid of contact. Solid route runner. I feel like a very good route runner, but Emery says solid route runner versus zone. Does a really good job of taking the right angle and depth to get open. Not overly sudden or explosive, lacks ideal twitch to threaten DBs out of the gate. Much more of a build-up speed. Has to be more urgent when running routes, whether that's clear out routes or routes that require timing. There you have it. 3 first rounders for Gang Green. That's kind of wild. That's wild when you think about it. That they're gonna have 3-1s again next year. I mean, if this doesn't turn your damn team around, 6 first round picks in 2 years, then what are you doing? What are we even doing here? David Bailey, Kenyon Sadiq, Omar Cooper. Pretty solid haul. Again, the Kenyon Sadiq one, it was the fact that the pick was from out of left field that really shook me. But I think that in the end, put it this way, I think everybody was surprised by the Kenyon Sadiq pick. And I think a lot of people overreacted to it in a negative way. But in time, when they see the way Frank Reich uses him, this is a pick that people are going to love. He does like to feature tight ends in his offense. So what the Jets have done in the past in not utilizing their tight ends isn't really a factor. He's a different type of player than Mason Taylor. So I would expect both of them to be on the field at the same time. And Taylor can be your inline guy more consistently, with Sadiq being inline at times, lined up at H-back, lined up in the slot, even on the boundary if you want to. Guy ran a 4.39. So the Jets are going to be able to be more multiple on offense with him, and you're going to have a tight end 2 and a tight end 1 who can both block well enough that they're not going to be a true liability. Can there be some improvement? Absolutely. But I think this is a pick, as I said, for me initially, it was just shock. I didn't expect it at all. And I think that might be why some of the negative reaction from Jets fans, because this isn't something they'd considered. But over time, in Frank Reich's offense, with the athleticism, with the versatility, I think Kenyon Sadiq is a pick that Jets fans are going to look back at and feel like I should have been a much bigger fan of that pick on the day that it happened. At the same time, I understand some of the skepticism, the concerns, but all in all, I like the pick. And then Cooper, again, would have preferred a more of a take the top off a defense type of guy, but they didn't go that route. They went with the more physical receiver. Next pick comes in, Robert Saleh grabs himself Keldrick Falk. That's a really nice pick that late. That's really good value. We've got one pick to go first. One pick to go, folks, before it is all wrapped up. Let's see. So I've got this poll that I put up a few minutes ago about how do you feel about the Sadiq pick, and someone said redo it because we got a wide receiver. So because of course some people would be upset over the passing on a receiver, but now that the Jets got one, people might feel differently. But so far, most people either like or love the pick. Not bad number. 17% don't like it or hate it. Don't like it is at 4.5%. Hate it 13.6%. 50% like it. 31% love it. So majority of folks are happy with the pick, and I think they should be. I think they should be. Where are we at? So we have, as I said, one pick remaining before we can wrap this all up. What a unique prospect Keldrick Falk is. 6'6", 280. Long, powerful. He's gonna be a nice piece for Robert Saleh. How many trades did we have in that first round? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Well, these aren't trades on the day, of course. But total trades, 16 different picks. Yeah, a bunch. Looks like about 16 picks ended up with teams that didn't originally own that pick. Lots of moves. Seattle is up next. What does Seattle do? What does Seattle do here? Who are the best available? Do they need? Yeah, I don't need a safety. I don't think they need a safety. Let's see if they list him as a need. No. I know they lost Kenneth Walker. Do they want to replace him with a back? Is there a tackle on the board worth taking? Jennings Dunker, perhaps? I don't know if Dunker's a first rounder. How many O linemen have gone, by the way? People were saying there'd be like 12, 13 O linemen. Let's see. Let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9. So we could see 10 O linemen go if that's what Seattle does. I seriously doubt we see them go running back. I think maybe you see Seattle take advantage of the edge depth in this class and grab one here. That's going to be my guess. I had just said Zion Young. Maybe Zion Young seems like he would be a sensible pick here for Seattle. Let's see what they do. Start an hour earlier tomorrow, right? Less time between the picks. Things will be moving along faster. Let's see. Uh, let's see here. Yeah, Kenyon Sadiq. The more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm liking it. So the Niners pick up 179 from the Jets, by the way. I think I mentioned that earlier. Oh, boy. David Bailey says he looks forward to beating up on the Giants. Final pick of the first round, number 32. Goodell had quite a bit to say. Now got a young man, a Make-A-Wish Foundation making the pick. Wow. And they do go running back. And it's Jadarian Price. I did not think we would see another back go just yet. I thought Seattle wanted a back. I thought they would wait till later. But Jadarian Price, look, there's been a lot of talk. The people say only reason he wasn't, widely, and I shouldn't say not viewed, but playing behind Jeremiah Love meant that he wasn't going to get as much love as he would have if he'd played somewhere else where he was a featured back and a ton of carries. But now you're getting a guy who not only is uber talented and viewed as a top back in this class, but because he took the that light workload in college, or lighter than he would have as a featured back, you're getting a guy that doesn't quite have the miles that that some of the other feature backs do. So that's a good get for Seattle. They've got, of course, Zach Charbonnet, who had been handcuffed and or backing up Kenneth Walker for all these years, and now he'll split carries with Jadarian Price, two really good running backs. So Seattle does well for themselves. And that'll wrap this up, folks. We can put this one in the books. The Jets get themselves 3 first-round picks. I think that they're I think, again, the Sadiq pick seemed to upset some folks. It'll be all right. He's going to be a good one. Or at least, I should say, has the tools to be a good one and is now playing for a team that likes to feature tight ends, so has a chance to actually develop and contribute. David Bailey, I know some folks wanted Arvell Reese. And then Omar Cooper, a lot of folks excited to get a wide receiver in the first round. Major needs addressed by the Jets. Give Darren Muji credit, and we will see you back here tomorrow. Have a good one, Jets fans.